My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. I'm going to break down the entire UFC Vegas 73 fight card, giving you my picks, my predictions, and my bets. And we're riding high because we crushed UFC Charlotte. We basically hit every single thing we put on the board. I'm up units. Jacob is up units. Jacob hit his 5th underdog lock of the week in a row. The safety parlay hit ×2, right? There was a 2-leg, a 3-leg, a leg drop, so then you're stuck with two-leg parlays, but both of those hit. And here's every single bet that I put on the board. I only spent 2.6 units without the safety parlay, and I got back 4.16 units, which is a net profit of 1.567 units. The only bet I missed was the over round parlay, which was honestly, that one is shocking that that's the only one I missed, but we hit the Brian Battle, underdog, Tanera Lisboza, got her as an underdog. Smith Walker, over 1.5 rounds, that was even money. Brian Battle, inside the distance decision, no action. And then that pretty juiced Carl Williams, Carlos Ulberg parlay hit every single bet we put on the board except one. And the safety parlay is now up 8.5 units this year. This year, not forever. This year, it's up 8.5 units in 2023. Becoming a premium member has never been so beneficial because we're not the only sharp ones. You guys are too. We by far have the sharpest community in this space. I have counted more than $150,000 in winnings these last two events. Jack Spade hit a $78,000 DraftKings, a $13,000 DraftKings for Baterius. Mitch shouted us out, said he spent $150, got $2,000 back. Jeffrey hit a $50,000 DraftKings. Stefan hit a $7,800 DraftKings. We got this message from Jonathan. Jonathan said, "Hey, Angelo and Jacob and Artem, I'm Jonathan from New Zealand. I couldn't find anywhere else to put my comments, so I'm sending you this message to say thank you. Fellas, I'm actually making a good second income through the tools on your website and advice. Cheers again, bros." Guys, premium membership has been working out for everybody. It's only $10 a month. Just go to WeWantPicks.com and click Become a Member. There's more than just copy paste. That message from our buddy there just said he's making a ton of money using the tools. One of those tools is the line movement tracker. This is going to give you opening odds, and current probability for every single fighter, as well as the line movement. You can see the trends. Hop on, hop off. Viacheslav Borshchev, who we're going to break down in a minute, open at plus 120. He is now sitting at a very pretty minus 154. Those are the type of trends you want to spot. Make up your mind. Some people might see that trend and say, well, this is bad. Some people might say, and let me hop on before the line gets too juiced. All that information is available to you. It's sortable. It's interactive. And it doesn't end there. We have 38 columns of detailed data and metrics. This is all information, right? You're going to get my picks, my round line leans, my bets. You're going to get Jacob's picks and bets. You're going to get Artem's picks and bets. You're going to get our insight, the DraftKings tool. You're going to get all of that, but you're also going to get raw data and information that you can use to empower yourself, make your own picks, make your own bets. Let's call it a research hub, if you will. WeWantPicks.com, $10 a month. Just click the join button at the top, and I'll send you $50. We talk about this every single week. I pay out thousands of dollars a week. All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Sign up with any one of our 4 betting partners using our link, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. It's affiliate marketing, right? They're going to pay me. They're going to say, "Hey, Ange, thanks for sending this customer over." Then I'm going to take a piece of that money and I'm going to give it right back to you because we care about our community. That community that I showed you, that's up over $150,000 in the last 2 weeks. That's the community that we're building. That's the community we care about. And I'm sending that community $50. All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up, make a deposit, and we'll send you that $50. Let's break down this card. Before I do, this is a sketchy card, okay? A lot of people are here. A lot of people that have signed up the last couple of weeks have been riding high. We have crushed the last 3-4 events, something like that. We've absolutely been killing it. This card feels very, very different, and I have a feeling that a lot of our bets are going to be props, round lines, and things like that because a lot of these fights are super close, and there's a good amount of live dogs. This is the type of week you just made so much money these last 2 weeks from us and our insight and all that. Break off a huge chunk of that profit. Put that aside, put that in the bank. You don't need to keep doubling down and just take it easy this week because this is a sketchy week. But opening up, UFC Vegas 73, we have Takashi Sato taking on Themba Gorimbo. And every time I say Themba, I just feel like I have a lisp. Anyway, Takashi Sato is a striker. He's got solid power, solid timing. He's got pretty good volume, and he really turns it on when he has you stunned. He can be hittable, though, and that's because while he's always moving his feet, he has no head movement whatsoever. Takashi's 2-4 in the UFC, but his losses are pretty quality, right? He lost to Bilal Muhammad, Miguel Baeza, Gunnar Nelson, and most recently was knocked out pretty quickly by Brian Battle. He's taking on Themba Gorimbo, who's a distant striker. He manages range well, and he picks his shots. He's long for the weight class, and he uses that length to keep you at bay. He's typically a counter striker, but he will charge forward when he sees his openings. He's got solid takedown defense where he sort of widens his base, and then he makes his opponents carry his weight. He's coming off that loss to AJ Fletcher where Themba looked like a solid grappler, right? He had a very nice takedown. He showcased those grappling credentials, and he was doing really well before he chased an armbar, and then he lost that position and got caught. I'm going to have to go with Themba here, right? And a lot of it has to do with how good he looked in the loss to AJ Fletcher. His takedown was solid. His grappling is solid. He never looked panic. And with that added grappling to like his sort of overall striking game, he's going to be pretty impressive. He can make adjustments on the fly when he needs to. Sato is better than his recent record, but I still think his best years are behind him. So that pick here is going to be Themba Gorimbo in the opening fight of the night. Then we have the biggest favorite on the card. Massive, tremendous, huge favorite. I think Natalia Silva's at like minus 650 or something like that. Check out the line movement tracker to watch her line sort of take off after it dropped. But Natalia Silva is the biggest favorite on this card. She's taking on Victoria Leonardo. And Victoria Leonardo is sort of a jack of all trades, a master of none. That's the old adage there. She likes to come forward. She's got lots of pressure, and then she'll wrap you up with body locks and work you to the ground. Her BJJ is decent, but she makes up for skill gaps with pressure and persistence. She's coming off a decision win over Mandy Bohm, where she was outstruck, but she did work in 2 takedowns, and she's taking on Natalia Silva, who's a really well-rounded fighter. She's always fun to watch. She's got like a brawling strike style where she's just going to wing punches from her hips, but she also works in spinning attacks and takedowns. She's got solid upper body takedowns and then really good control on top. What she does well is she'll bait you into a slugfest. She's going to come forward. She's going to strike. And when you return, she's going to back up. And then she does a great job of sort of unloading while circling. So you're now following her. You're chasing her. And she's circling and tagging you. She's got solid power for the division. But she does leave herself open for takedowns. She's coming off that knockout win over Teresa Bleda. Natalia Silva, as I mentioned, the biggest favorite on this card. And honestly, she probably should be. She's going to have the better striking, the better grappling, more power. She's going to be more athletic, essentially be better everywhere except straight wrestling. So Victoria is probably going to be the better wrestler here, and I imagine she's going to get a takedown or two, right? Even Bleza took down Natalia before Natalia got that finish. So I still think Natalia's going to get taken down, but then she's going to work her way back up. She's going to touch up Victoria, potentially get a finish here. Natalia's a very, very real prospect. I like her to win. I'm very confident in her. Undecided on bets, though, because that is a very juiced line, and we've been burned. I'm not trying to be sexist here. I've got daughters, a wife, a mother, but we've seen juiced women's MMA lines go south in the past, so I'm probably going to leave Natalia Silva off the table or maybe inside the distance. Decision, no action, but that's going to be even more juice. So we'll see when the props drop if there's something there, but for now, I'm just going to leave it alone and be very confident in the pick. Then we have Chase Hooper taking on Nick Fiore. Chase Hooper is a slick grappler, but unfortunately, he is all BJJ with no wrestling or striking. His takedown accuracy is an embarrassing 26%, and he has no get-up game if he's the one taken down. He is a young prospect. He can have success, but he needs careful matchups. For example, that loss to Steve Peterson was a bad look, and it set him back because Steve isn't particularly great anywhere, but his bounce-back win over Felipe Colares tricked people into thinking, oh, Chase Hooper has hands all of a sudden, and that was before he got completely dismantled by Steve Garcia, and he's taking on Nick Fiore. Nick Fiore is a solid grappler himself. He does have a BJJ black belt. His takedowns are just okay. They're not what you would like considering he wants to get it to the ground, but they are better than Chase's. He has a nice step-in jab, and while he isn't a striker, he is accurate, and he has nice pressure. He's got a wide guard, which can leave him hittable. He's coming off that decision loss to Mateusz Rebecki, which, if you remember, was very short notice and his UFC debut. When I watch fights, right, I've got kids and weekends are busy, but when I have the opportunity to sit down and watch the fights, I do it with my laptop and I take notes. I take live notes of what I'm watching because I want to remember what I was feeling in the moment, what I remembered in that moment. Let me read you my exact notes from Chase Hooper from his last fight. Absolute clueless pussy on his feet. Those were the notes. Those were my notes for Chase Hooper. So here's my notes on Nick Fiore in his last fight. Accurate with strikes, but had issues with Rebecca's forward pressure and power. Came out composed in the second and got the takedown. Very tough. You see the contrasting notes there? You see the difference in the opinion of those two people? So you can tell me who I'm about to pick, but I can't go with Chase Hooper here. In reality, he's going to be the better grappler, and he is fighting another grappler, so that is a recipe for a win. But his absolute lack of hands, his inability to wrestle, to get it to the ground, is just full-on jiu-jitsu nerd, and I can't be down with that. The pick's going to be Fiore. No money here because Chase, in all reality, could sneak out this win, right? He's fighting another jiu-jitsu guy, and he's probably going to be the better one, but I cannot put money on a dude like Chase Hooper, unfortunately, because I think he's very marketable. He's funny. The fact that he's so unimposing and like such a nerd is great. Like, it's great if he's winning fights. But when he goes out there and fights like how he looks, that's a real problem. So the pick is going to be Nick Fiore, but no bet here. Maybe I'll take a look at an inside the distance decision, no action on Chase. Then we have Ilir Latifi taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. And honestly, I can't even believe I'm breaking down this fight. Didn't Latifi just retire? Didn't we just... He just beat Alexei Olenek, stood in the cage, did a whole retirement speech, took the gloves off, did the entire thing. Like, what are we doing breaking him down just a few months later? Honestly, I think he cashed that check, went home, and was like, I guess I can keep wrestling in the cage for money because that's all he does, right? He comes out here, he throws maybe 2 punches, and then wrestles. He doesn't take a lot of damage. He doesn't really get into any harm's way. He wrestles. He throws big punches to set up takedowns from there, and he tries to stay busy, but he can slow down later in fights. So I imagine he came out of retirement because he's like, yeah, I'm 40, but I don't have to worry about brain damage if I'm literally doing nothing the whole time. And he's coming back. I say coming back. It wasn't even a long layoff. We're talking about a few months ago. But anyway, he's risen from the dead like a phoenix, and he's taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. And Rodrigo can be an aggressive striker in his fights, but he is a grappler at heart, and he's got solid submissions. If he stays standing, he gets sucked into firefights, but his path to victory is usually grappling, where he has a giant edge. And up until his last fight, he had a 100% finish rate, and for the most part, marches forward to get the clinch for a takedown. And here's the thing with this fight. Latifi should be able to come forward, get takedowns, be boring, and cruise to a decision. Basically what he did to Alexei Olenek. But Olenek is a slow 45-year-old, where Nascimento is still young, he's hungry, he's big, he's athletic. And we know Latifi isn't all in, right? We know he isn't working towards a larger goal. He's not trying to fight for a title. I literally think he's just showing up for a paycheck. And this seems like a money grab fight for him. And those rarely go well. I like the much larger Nascimento to defend takedowns, touch Latifi, get him flustered, and then get his own takedowns. I do have a 1-unit moneyline bet on Nascimento at -155. It moves slightly to -160. I don't know if you should tail that. I have a little bit of a buyer's remorse there because Latifi can just be boring and lay on top, and he did just do that to another grappler. But I think Nascimento should get this done. I do have the bet, and if it loses, I got to count it, and if it wins, I'm going to count it. But the bet has a lot more to do with the fact that Latifi freaking retired in the cage and said, I'm done. And then now he's back. If Latifi got out of that last fight screaming, I'm coming for the belt, I'm going to make one last run, blah, 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 then honestly, my opinion might be different here, but that's not what happened. Dude retired, left, and then here we are again talking about his wrestling. So Nascimento is going to be the pick. I do have a 1-unit moneyline bet on him. He has a USADA fail in the past. Honestly, I hope he's juiced to the gills and just blows through Latifi so I can get my money. Then we have Orion Cosce taking on Gilbert Urbina. Orion Cosce is a solid grappler with impressive strength and powerful wrestling. His fight IQ isn't the best. His chin isn't the best, but he is a grinder and he will pressure forward the entire fight. I knocked his fight IQ because at times he can rely on just his strength, right? He's going to like muscle you to the ground instead of using technique. And then he's going to get into scrambles and he's just going to absolutely blow positions in scrambles to try to chase something and not do the safer play, which is level your hips out and end up on top. He's coming off the very first decision of his career, and that was a win against Blood Diamond, where he had 3 takedowns, but he was completely outstruck. He's taking on Gilbert Urbina, and Gilbert's also a good grappler in his own right, and is competent on his feet as well. He has very high striking output of more than 6 significant strikes per minute, but if you watch his fights, it's clear that he doesn't have striking defense, and he somehow manages to have a negative striking differential. He is coming off that submission loss to Brian Battle, where he had 2 of his own takedowns, but couldn't defend the only one that Brian shot. And this is actually a tricky fight to pick because Orion's probably the better fighter. His striking does leave a lot to be desired, and Gilbert, while he is hittable, can also get volume out there and touch people up. And I mentioned Orion's win over Blood Diamond. Orion had more than 9 minutes of control time. It's only a 15-minute fight. He had more than 9 minutes of control time and still somehow had his significant strikes tripled. His opponent was on his back for 3/4 of a fight and still landed 3 times the amount of strikes. And that's not a good look. So I'm still going to pick Orion here because very simply, I think he can get the takedowns and his takedown offense is better than Gilbert's takedown defense. But if he's just diving at legs without striking first, without setting him up, Gilbert could touch him up and take a decision. So the pick is going to be Orion, but the bet is going to be on Friday when they drop the takedown lines, and I'm going to do more takedowns for Orion Cosce because I see him getting the takedowns. Gilbert's going to shoot, but I see Orion shooting faster, shooting earlier because he really doesn't want to be striking. So we'll see when that drops. If you are a premium member, make sure your Discord is linked. That's how you get alerts to your phone. So on Fridays, when those props drop, they fly. Like those odds take off instantly. So we will hit those bets. We will throw it in the premium alert channel in Discord. And assuming you have alerts turned on, you will get that to your phone instantly. And if you like it, great. Hop in there, hit it. If you don't like it, who cares? Move on. But at least you were alerted, right? What you don't want to happen is you come Sunday, you log into the website. Ooh, I'm excited for the fights. Let me see what action. And then the odds on the site are very different than the odds that you're actually going to get with the book. So make sure if you're a premium member, turn on your alerts, link your Discord so you can get those to your phone instantly. If you're not a premium member, become one. It's freaking $10 a month, and we have the sharpest community in this space. Not only me, Artem, Jacob, we're doing well, but the community is doing well, and they're all in Discord sharing their thoughts, sharing their spots, and things like that. So WeOwnPicks.com, just click Become a Member. Then we have the is tough, Karolina Kowalkiewicz taking on Vanessa Demopoulos. Karolina Kowalkiewicz is a very good striker who at one point in her career was a legitimate contender. She has some solid wins in the UFC and seems to be making a career resurgence. She's a very good kickboxer with solid technique and power for the division. She averages more than 5 significant strikes per minute and has maintained an incredible 75% takedown defense. She has found herself on a 2-fight win streak after a 4-fight skid, but she is coming off a sketchy scorecard win over Silvana Gomez-Juarez, where she did need to go into her grappling bag to get that done. She's taking on Vanessa Demopoulos, who's a solid striker who likes to fight in the pocket. She doesn't have any real power, but she does have volume and footwork. If it does get to the ground, Vanessa has solid grappling and can make something happen. She's coming off the decision win over Maria Oliveira, where her striking looked good, and she did have a knockdown, but she really shined with her 2 takedowns and 8 minutes of control. Karolina is definitely going to be the more experienced fighter in this matchup, right? And definitely the most experienced fighter that Vanessa has fought overall. I mean, Karolina has been in the UFC for 8 full years, but I also think she's aging out. And I think Vanessa is going to get this win because Karolina didn't look very good in her last fight, and she needed the grappling to even get a sketchy scorecard. A lot of people think she lost that fight, and she needed to use, she's a striker, and needed to use her grappling to get a bad decision. So I don't think that's going to work here. Vanessa's a solid grappler herself. She sets a really nice pace. She can hang with the striking. I think Vanessa's going to be able to outwork Karolina. I think she's going to be able to hang with the grappling defensively. Offensively, if it's anything like her last fight, she's going to get some takedowns in. So I like Vanessa to win this fight. She probably wins by decision, but these are the fights, right? These are the fights where the veteran can sort of take advantage of the situation. I mean, she almost has double the fights of Vanessa here. So the bet is probably over 2.5. And that's a very confident spot because while both of them do have finishes on their record, I don't see a finish in this fight. So picks Vanessa. The bet is going to be over 2.5 on the round line. Guys, don't forget, I'm just handing out money. $50. All you need to do is go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, sign up with any one of our betting partners, make a deposit, and we send you $50 as a thank you. It's literally that simple. It's literally that simple. It's affiliate marketing. They're going to pay me because I sent them a new customer, and then I'm going to take a piece of that money and I'm going to give it right back to you. So just go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, use our link to sign up, make a deposit, and then I send you $50 as a thank you. Then we have the biggest line movement on the card. These lines have flipped. Borshchev opened as an underdog. He is now the favorite. Maheshate opened as the favorite. He is now the underdog. And we see this every week. And overall, I believe the record is now 9-3 or 9-4, where the person who was the underdog and closed as the favorite ended up winning. Just some fun tracking to see if there's long-term trends there. And then if there are, then we could identify spots a little better. But for now, Borshchev is the favorite. He opened at the dog, and he is taking on Maheshate. Maheshate is only 23 years old, but he has the composure of a veteran. Style-wise, he's a fun, creative striker who can hang in a firefight or dance around the outside in a technical kickboxing match. He mixes in traditional martial arts techniques like side kicks with flashy ones like spinning or step-in elbows. If you let him dictate the pace, you could have a really long night, but if you stay in his face, you can have some success getting to his chin. He's coming off the frustrating loss, frustrating for him, not for me, but frustrating loss to Rafa Garcia, where he was taken down 6 times. He's taken on Viacheslav Borshchev, who is an amazing striker with a legitimate professional kickboxing career before transitioning to MMA. He's got a great jab, solid power, and fantastic kicks. Unfortunately, everyone is well aware of how good his striking is, so they just come in there and they look to take him down. He's got a very low 31% takedown defense, and he has been taken down 24 times in 4 fights. He gave up 24 takedowns in 4 fights, and he's coming off a short notice loss to Mike Davis, where he showed how insanely tough he is because he was taken down 9 times, but he kept coming forward, kept working back to his feet, and he was never truly out of that fight. Think last week when we broke down Brian Battle and what happened when he fought Renat, that's what Viacheslav looked like. Just getting taken down over and over and over and kept working back to his feet, kept trying to make something happen. And this is a tough fight to call because it should be a striker versus striker matchup. And if that is the fight, then Borshchev's going to win. I mean, done. Like very easily, Borshchev should win a striker versus striker matchup against Maheshate. But this wouldn't be the first time we saw a striker turn into a wrestler when fighting Borshchev. Mark Ducote took Borshchev down 11 times, and Mark was supposed to be this big kickboxer. If Maheshate comes in here and starts shooting, I don't trust Borshchev's defense to hold up. But with that being said, he is an absolute savage, and even though he gave up a ton of takedowns in his last couple of fights, he absolutely never stops working, and he still managed to land 84 strikes while spending 8 minutes on his back. So the pick's going to be Borshchev, but betting spot, again, we're going to have to wait for some props and see what happens. I told you, this is a sketchy card. I made you guys, we made you, me, Jacob, and Arda made you guys a bunch of money these last 3-4 events. Keep those winnings. This is not the card to be like, oh, this is so easy. We make a fortune. Let's keep going. Put a lot of the winnings aside, sprinkle a little bit, enjoy the fights, but man, every weekend can't be a cash cow, and this weekend feels like it's going to be tricky. This is my PSA to you. Feels like a tricky weekend. A lot of these bets are probably going to be props, and a lot of them are probably going to be safety net props, like inside the distance, decision, no action, plus 3.5, stuff like that. So make sure that you are a premium member. Just click become a member at the top at WeWantPicks.com. And then this way you'll see all those bets as we're placing them. As the props drop, we'll start to place those bets. And if you link your Discord, you will get alerts to your phone. Then we have the veteran Michael Johnson taking on Diego Ferreira. Michael Johnson is a tried and true vet. He's been around forever. He has had an incredibly tough competition slate as well. And it's easy to look at his record and say, oh, the dude's lost 18 times. How good could he possibly be? Especially if you're newer to the sport. But if you look at those losses, they're quality losses. The Beneil Dariush, who's in a title eliminator in a few weeks. Nate Diaz, who at one point in time was incredible. Khabib, who retired undefeated. Justin Gaethje, who just knocked off the number 3 guy in the world. And most recently, he lost a short notice split decision that a lot of people think he won to Jamie Mullarkey. So quality losses in that 18 stretch there. Skill-wise, he's pretty good everywhere, right? He's a talented striker. He does not have a ton of power, but he's got really nice footwork. He's got a positive striking differential, and he'll work in the occasional takedown. He's taking on Diego Ferreira, who's a very good BJJ guy with power in his hands. Even though he's a grappler, he does have a solid striking differential of almost 5-3, but a surprisingly low takedown accuracy of 24%. His striking has evolved over the years, and he has won some fights where there was only striking, right? No grappling exchanges. But like Michael Johnson, he's got some quality losses as well. He's on a 3-fight skid, but it's against Gamrot, killer, Gillespie, killer, and Beneil Dariush, killer. And not only are they killers, they're absolute grappling beasts who took Diego down a combined 13 times. You're going to hear a lot of people, right? I imagine maybe I am the only show you watch, or Jacob and I, but if you're watching other shows, this video is the first one out. Of all the bigger shows, we're the first ones out, right? We're coming out every Sunday morning. Other people are coming out Mondays and throughout the week. A lot of people watch the show, regurgitate what I say, and then maybe clean it up a little bit, do a little twist, and then push it as if it's their own for information, right? You're going to hear a lot of people this week. A lot of people this week are going to talk about Michael Johnson's age. He's old. He's slowing down. But he's the younger fighter in this matchup. By 2 years, Diego Ferreira is 38. Michael Johnson is only 36 years old. So I don't want to hear the narrative that Michael Johnson's old. Diego Ferreira is older. But Diego Ferreira is very good, and his recent 3-fight skid is going to trick people into thinking he sucks. He does not suck. Those 3 fights were a murderer's row of wrestlers, and Michael Johnson is not that. He's not a wrestler, but what Michael Johnson is a high IQ guy who knows how to win. I think Michael's going to be the far better striker. I think he's going to have solid enough takedown defense to keep it on his feet. He still has some power in his hands. He's not a huge power guy, but he still has some power in his hands. He dropped Mullarkey. He put out Patrick. And while he always has had a solid chin, I still think that'll be there. He's always had solid BJJ defense. I still think that'll be there. And I like Michael Johnson as the underdog in this spot. I fully expect this to be a dogfight. It should be close, but I don't want to hear any narrative about how old Michael Johnson is, because Diego's even older, and Michael Johnson has more experience. He's fought the higher level of competition, and I think he's the more complete fighter. So I'm going to pick Michael Johnson here, but do not let Diego Ferreira's 3-fight skid trick you into thinking he sucks. 90% of the division loses to those 3 fighters. 90% of the division. So it's going to be a fun fight. It's going to be an interesting fight. I'm going with the underdog, Michael Johnson. Then we have what should be an absolute banger. We have Andre Fialho taking on Joaquin Buckley. Andre Fialho is a striker. He's got a nice double jab, heavy leg kicks, solid takedowns when he needs them. Hasn't really used them in the UFC at all, but you break down his regional tape, you will see them in the mix there. He has huge power in his hands. He's very tough, but he's also very hittable. He has a negative 3-6 striking differential, which means he has hit 6 times for every 3 that he lands. And if he doesn't get the knockout, he just ends up being outvolumed and outstruck. He's coming off the knockout loss to Muslim Salikov, where he only landed 17 significant strikes. A 3-round fight. He landed 17 significant strikes. He's taking on Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin's a powerful striker who absolutely comes in hot. He's got good forward movement, really improved on working his angles. He comes at you straight on with speed and power, and he does a great job ripping the body and then working the way up to the head. We all know he has power, but he's actually gotten more comfortable not chasing that big knockout. He's taking his time. We're seeing him working takedowns as well. He did so against Duraev, Al-Hassan, and that was all before his recent skid. He is on a bit of a skid. He's coming off a 2nd-round knockout loss to Chris Curtis, where he was doing well before he got caught. And this fight's definitely trickier than the odds. Right now, Buckley's a -170 favorite. And while I do think he should be the favorite, both of these guys are incredibly powerful. And both of them have had their lights turned off in the last 6 months. So to throw money down on Buckley at -170... like he can't be knocked out, I honestly think that's crazy. I do think Buckley's going to win this fight because he has the wrestling if he needs it. He's got better defense. He's certainly faster and more athletic. Buckley's going to be the pick. But Jesus Christ, Andre Fialho can knock out a horse. Buckley can knock out a horse. Both of these men have been knocked out in their last fight, so we know their chins aren't granite. I wouldn't touch Buckley at minus 170, although I do think he wins. Let's see when the props drop. Let's see what does not go the distances. Maybe that's the bet. Maybe we'll get a decent line there at like 230 or something, and that's going to be the bet. This could be a boring decision, right? We've seen Buckley in that. We've seen Andre go to a decision as well, but we'll see when the props drop if there's a spot, and Buckley should win, and if he wins, it'll probably be knockout, but man, Andre Fialho hits really, really hard, and Buckley was just knocked out. Look what happened to Court McGee. Court McGee was knocked out 2 fights ago, and he was the big favorite. The line went crazy. He was a minus 180 something favorite over Matt Brown, and my breakdown was that dude just got put out bad. He's not just going to come back a few months later like it's no big deal. And then Matt Brown one punch KO'd him. Joaquin Buckley could be in the same boat. Andre Fialho could be in the same boat. So we'll see what happens with this fight, but I'm going to keep my distance until those props drop. Then we have Emily Ducote taking on short notice Lupita Godinez. Emily was originally supposed to fight Polyana Viana. Polyana dropped a few days ago. Lupita does what she does, which is step up on short notice. And now this is the matchup we have. Emily Ducote is a former Invicta champion, right? She's got slick counter-striking, legitimate power, very good wrestling as well. She's durable and accurate. What she does well is throw straight punches and come right down the middle. If you play the outside or if you start looking for looping shots, Ducote is going to throw something straight up the middle, tag you, and then move back out. She is coming off that decision loss to Angela Hill where she just could not get her striking going, and she was outstruck 71 to 182. She's taking on short notice Lupita Godinez, who for this weight class, right? Nobody at 5'2" is big, but for this weight class, she's one of the stronger, bullier people. She's a good wrestler, solid striking, clean boxing. She does have great setups to both wrestling and striking. She's sort of bigger and bullyish for the weight class and uses her size and strength well to execute that game plan. She has a very mixed bag of performances, and she can be incredibly frustrating to watch because her path to victory should always be come forward, work takedowns, and grind. But she doesn't always follow that plan. She's coming off a sketchy split decision over Cynthia Calvillo where she landed fewer strikes and she was the one taken down. And earlier, when I was breaking down Chase Hooper, I mentioned that when I watch fights live, I take notes. I want to take notes in the moment. So when I come back to break down that fighter again, I remember it exactly as it was. Because rewatching fights is sort of a different experience than watching it for the first time. My notes for Loopy in her last fight were kind of sucks. Super close decision, 30-27 is wild. And at this point, we cannot trust Loopy. She absolutely fumbled the bag against Angela Hill. She got a gift decision against Cynthia Calvillo, who she couldn't take down. Everybody and their mother takes down Cynthia Calvillo. Lupita couldn't do it for some reason. And Loopy has a miserable track record of short notice fights, and this one's going to be no different. I like Emily Ducote to get this done. She's big. She's powerful. She should be able to defend the takedown attempts. I do have a quarter of a unit. Unit for me is $100. I got $25 on her at plus 119. That is already moving. And I have a feeling that that will full on flip. I think Ducote is going to end up being the favorite when this closes. So if you agree, hop on. If you don't agree, don't let me convince you. It's your money, right? I'm doing what I want to do with my money. You do what you want with your money. But I think Emily Ducote is going to get this done. I think Loopy, we'll see how this fight goes, but I think she needs a hard reset. I think she needs to go back, maybe change camps, and just... she is just not making the right decisions inside some of these fights. And a short notice step up after a bad decision, which was after a loss against somebody as tough as Emily, probably not the best decision, especially when she's losing these short notice fights in the past. So Emily's the pick. Small $25 or 0.25 unit bet on her at plus 119. Then we have the co-main event of the evening. We have Edmund Shabazian taking on Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. Edmund Shabazian is a very good striker who is well-rounded. He has impressive kicks. He does get taken down a good amount, though, because he's so long and then he plants his feet before throwing. So he's going to plant, solid, he's firm there, and then throw, and that's exactly when some of the better wrestlers are going to take their shots. His takedown defense is okay. It's at 65%, and if he is taken down, he does end up in trouble, though, because he doesn't scramble well enough to get back up or even threaten with submissions. He has solid offensive wrestling, though, with more than 1 takedown per fight, and he's coming off that knockout win over Dalcha Lungambula, which did break a 3-fight skid. Anthony Fluffy Hernandez is a very good grappler. He's averaging more than 6 takedowns per fight. He has solid takedowns as well. He's a BJJ black belt. And although he's willing to strike, that is not his path to victory. He's coming off that win over Marc-Andre Barrault, where he had 8 takedowns and a 3rd-round submission. And hearing super high takedown numbers like that always sound impressive. Wow, he has 8 takedowns in that fight. But the reality is that means you can't control people, because to get 8 takedowns in a fight, and it ended inside the distance. So you got 8 takedowns in a fight that didn't even go to the judges' scorecard. That means that your opponent stood up 7 times. 7 times. So you get 2 for free because of the round. So 5 times you took him down and he got up on you, which is always a little tricky. If Edmund had better scramble skills, I would seriously consider him as an underdog. But when he gets taken down, he almost accepts it. And even with Fluffy's poor control, he should be able to keep him there. Fluffy is the pick and is potentially safe for parlays. So I'm pretty confident in Anthony Hernandez to get this done. And he's going to need to lean on his wrestling. Hopefully he'll clean up that control. And it's a perfect combination of, yeah, Anthony's control isn't great, but Edmund doesn't really work to get back to his feet that well. Then we have the new main event of the evening. If you remember, this is supposed to be at UFC Charlotte. And then they moved it to this card because this card lost its main event. And UFC was like, hey, this card absolutely sucks. Who can we move from Charlotte to Vegas to at least make it meaningful? And they got Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. It's not a horrible main event, but it's not a great card. Mackenzie Dern, as we all know, is a phenomenal grappler. She is trouble for anybody on the ground. Her striking has improved since sort of the early days of her UFC career. She's definitely gotten more comfortable in the exchanges. The problem is sometimes she's too comfortable, right? She just will come out charging forward, throwing big, and not even look to wrestle. Other times when she is looking to wrestle, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. She has a negative striking differential because she just charges forward. She has an 11% takedown accuracy. 11% takedown accuracy. If she shoots 100 takedowns, she gets 11 of them. That is bad, especially considering world level jiu-jitsu, the most dangerous jiu-jitsu in the division, potentially in the UFC, certainly for all the women, and she can't get you to the ground. But sometimes she doesn't even need to get you to the ground because we've seen her put people in trouble. We've seen her get submissions or threaten submissions without even getting a takedown, hold you against the cage and sort of climb up your body. So the reality is Mackenzie Dern charges forward, is tough as nails, is a problem if you're on the ground with her. You're not necessarily safe if you're against the cage, and she's not somebody that you can easily get rid of, regardless of how much trash I give her for her terrible takedowns. But she's taking on Angela Hill. Angela Hill is a very high IQ fighter. She's good on her feet. She's fast. She has lots of versatility, lots of volume, not much power. She is a talented fighter who has become sort of the gatekeeper and the measuring stick of the weight class. She's good everywhere, but she's not really a threat, right? She's not dangerous at all. Her path to victory in this fight and every other fight she has ever been in is stick and move. Avoid power, stick and move. Avoid takedowns, stick and move. She's coming off that shocking upset win over Lupita Godinez, where she went 1 for 6 in her own takedown attempts, landed fewer total and significant strikes, but it was her distance, her pressure, and her jab that had gave the judges what they wanted. When this was a 3-round fight, right? Again, this was last week. They rebooked it. It's now 5 rounds. It's a main event. When this was a 3-round fight, I leaned Angela Hill. I did, because I was like, Mackenzie Dern's takedowns suck. It's going to be hard for her. But 5 rounds, I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm going to flip. Dern was always and will remain the far more dangerous fighter. She never quits. So more time she has, the better. Go look at her fight with Yan Jinan. I mean, she had Yan in trouble at the all the way up to the very end. If that's a 3-round fight, It's a very different fight than if it's a 5-round fight. I think the extra 2 rounds only help Dern. She's the more dangerous fighter who remains dangerous the entire time. It gives her 10 extra minutes for Angela to make a mistake, 10 extra minutes to hopefully squeeze out a takedown. So I like Mackenzie Dern to win this fight because it's 5 rounds. I do think it's going to be close. I don't think Mackenzie's going to get a quick takedown and then submit Angela Hill. She's not Jalton Almeida. She should be. Her jiu-jitsu's that good, but her wrestling sucks. So the pick's going to be Dern, but just like last week, the bet, when it drops, will be inside the distance, decision, no action on Mackenzie Dern. All that means is if this goes to a decision, win or lose, I'll get a refund. But if Mackenzie wins by finish, I will get paid. It's that simple. Mackenzie Dern is far more dangerous. If there is a finish here, it's going to be on her side. Angela Hill can't finish anybody. I had the exact same bet on Brian Battle. Brian Battle ended up getting a knockout in 5 seconds, and that was huge. I'll have that bet here. As long as it's anything under minus 350, I think it's a great bet. It's probably even worth parlaying because worst case scenario, you get a refund because Angela Hill is not going to finish Mackenzie Dern. WeWantPicks.com. Become a premium member as soon as that prop drops. If those odds are better than minus 350, I will hit it. You will see the alert, and you'll get that on your phone. Just make sure you link the Discord to your premium account. And guys, not only have Jacob and I been killing it, but the community has been as well. We have, I've said this a million times, we have the sharpest community. We want picks, the people in the Discord, the 13,000 subscribers on YouTube, the well over 2,000 premium members. All of you, that community is the sharpest community in MMA, period. Look at the number. Just the last 2 events alone, I have gotten tagged, thanked, tweeted at for more than $150,000 in winnings. 78 grand from Jack Spade, 50 grand from Jeffrey, 12 grand from Batarius. Mitch spent 150, got 2 grand back. We're getting thank you notes from Jonathan saying that our tools have helped him make a good second income. So guys, I don't know what you're waiting for. You don't like my sales pitch, fine, but let the community do the pitching for you. WeWantPicks.com. It's only $10 a month. Just click, become a member. You're going to get all sorts of tools. As Jonathan mentioned, the line movement tracker is one of them. You're going to get opening odds, current odds, win probability, and the line movement for every single fighter on the card. And this is sortable and interactive, so you can find your spots, move, sort, see who the biggest movers are, and then go from there. You're also going to get detailed data, metrics, analytics, 38 columns of it. Every single fighter, you're going to get striking stats, grappling stats, odds, weight, height, play, go here, do your research, find your spots using our tools. And it's not just me and Jacob. I put out more content than anybody. Obviously, if Jacob does the Saturday live streams, he's on air longer than anybody. But it's not just us. It's me, Jacob. We have Artem, and then we have a giant surprise that we're working on that'll be out there pretty soon. And Artem's fantastic because not only is he giving you his UFC picks and rounds and confidence, he's also breaking down Bellator, 1FC, LFA, Cage Warriors, all of the other shows. And I've seen a lot of you tag him in those winning tickets as well. WeWantPicks.com at the top. Click become a member. It's only $10. And I'll send you $50. You'll be up $40 at the end of it if you go to WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use our link to sign up with any one of our betting partners. Make a deposit, and I will send you $50 as a thank you. Tuesday's live stream is not Tuesday. It will be Wednesday. Jacob is traveling, visiting his mom for Mother's Day. He doesn't get back till Tuesday. We will be live on Wednesday. So just stick around. I will schedule that and join us Wednesday live for the full card breakdown.